My girlfriend, Chloe, who is the CEO of the company we started together, decided to take away all my year-end bonuses. Instead, she bought a brand new car for Alex, the least productive assistant in the office, calling it his year-end bonus. That same night, Alex posted about it on his social media. He thanked his generous boss and praised himself for being an excellent employee. The picture he posted showed him and Chloe standing in front of the new car, both making a heart shape with their hands and smiling happily. This time, I didn't react with jealousy or confront her angrily like I might have in the past. Instead, I calmly used her credit card, the one linked to a joint account we had for company expenses and future plans, and bought a similar car for every single colleague in the office. We all posted thank you notes online as well, thanking our generous boss and praising everyone's hard work and excellence. Not even 2 minutes after our posts went live, Chloe called me. "Ben, have you completely lost your mind?" she shouted. "If Alex hadn't told me, I wouldn't even know you did something this crazy. Before I get back to the office, you make sure to return all those cars and fix this entire mess. If you don't, you'll have to deal with the consequences yourself," she yelled, before abruptly hanging up. Just before the call ended, I could hear Alex's whining voice in the background. "Sorry, Chloe, I didn't mean to make things difficult for you." She replied to him in a soothing tone, completely different from how she spoke to me. "Why are you apologizing? He's the one at fault, not you." I understood she was saying that last part partly for my benefit, assuming I would overhear and quietly clean up the situation as I usually did. But this time, I had reached my limit. I had no intention of helping her fix this. A colleague approached me, looking worried. "Ben, does Chloe not know about this? Maybe we should return the cars. Otherwise, she might blame you for everything later." Others chimed in, trying to sound lighthearted, but clearly disappointed. When I had arranged for the cars, I simply told everyone it was a year-end reward from the company, not mentioning the specifics. Everyone had initially assumed it was Chloe's decision, even praising her generosity and surprising management style. Now, that surprise had turned into shock and concern. Another coworker, worried I'd get into serious trouble, rushed to try and cancel the order he had placed. I snapped back to reality, stopped him, and reassured everyone, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." Then I went home and went straight to sleep. By the time I woke up, it was very early in the morning. I heard a noise at the front door, and Chloe walked into the living room, her expression grim. She saw me awake on the couch and slammed her handbag onto the coffee table, making a loud thud. I knew this was her way of trying to intimidate me, expecting me to immediately admit I was wrong and offer to make amends. Normally, I would have complied. But now I just glanced at her, yawned, and said casually, "Oh, you're back." Seeing my calm reaction only seemed to make Chloe angrier. "You have the nerve to sleep?" she demanded. "I told you to get those cars returned, and you still haven't done anything. Ben, you're really pushing my limits. I'm giving you a chance to fix your mistake, and you clearly don't care." I used to be afraid when she got like this. Not so much of her anger itself, but because I worried about the stress affecting her health. After her outbursts, I would usually rush to comfort her, admit I was wrong even if I wasn't, and try to smooth things over. But now, my voice was calm and steady. Why should I fix it? I didn't do anything wrong. Hearing me talk back directly for the first time, Chloe seemed genuinely taken aback. "What did you say?" I chuckled softly. "If even the least effective employee in the company gets a car as a year-end bonus, why shouldn't everyone else, the ones who actually work hard and achieve results for the company, also receive a bonus?" Chloe's face turned red with anger. "Alex might not be top tier yet, but he's new and he's already doing pretty well. I believe by next year he'll be our #1 performer. Besides," she continued, shifting her argument, "haven't you kept track of how many mistakes the others have made this year? I didn't even dock their pay for those errors. Why should they expect bonuses on top of that?" Chloe went on, listing minor faults of other employees. I found it almost funny. She kept bringing up trivial things, like someone forgetting to water the office plants or submitting an expense receipt twice by accident. These weren't even part of their core job responsibilities, and any mistakes were always corrected promptly. Everyone in the company had been incredibly understanding of the struggles during the startup phase, working long hours, taking on extra tasks, and doing whatever was needed for 4 years without complaint. Now that the company was finally successful, Chloe hadn't shown much appreciation. Instead, she seemed to pile more work onto the original team while favoring Alex. Alex had joined only last year. While he technically made fewer mistakes, it was largely because he did very little actual work, relying heavily on Chloe's favoritism. However, the mistakes he did make were often critical. He once sent hundreds of inappropriate late-night messages to important business partners. Another time, he mixed up product prices on major contracts, costing the company nearly $8 million in potential revenue and strained relationships. Alex had claimed those errors were my fault, saying I distracted him by giving him extra tasks, which was ridiculous and everyone knew it. But Chloe believed him, and she took away my entire year's bonus as a result. She must have misinterpreted my silence earlier as me reflecting on my own supposed faults, because her tone softened slightly after her tirade. You know, Alex even offered to return the car. He said he knows it's tough for me with the startup finances right now. Can't you learn something from him? Despite being a regular employee who just joined last year, he's considerate of the company's situation, but you... I cut her off. Sure, let him return it. If he does, I'll ask everyone else to return their cars too. Chloe was speechless. I knew she wouldn't actually ask Alex to return the car. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Chloe, who was generally quite frugal in other areas, always seemed to prioritize Alex's wants and needs, regardless of the pressure or unfairness it created. Besides, Alex's offer to return the car was probably just for show, words he knew Chloe wanted to hear. She might even realize this on some level, but she would always protect him unconditionally. I guess Chloe didn't expect me to push back so firmly this time. Annoyed, she tapped my forehead sharply with her finger and snapped, "Why are you being so childish, Ben? This is my final warning. Get every single car you sent out back by tomorrow morning. If you don't, then don't bother continuing to work at this company. Just resign. Even if you are my boyfriend, I can't have someone working here who doesn't follow my direct orders." She looked at me with a smug expression, confident that I would never actually leave the company we built together. But this time I didn't compromise. I didn't go against my conscience just to appease her. Instead, I calmly handed her a document I had already prepared. "I was thinking the same thing," I said quietly. "Here's my resignation letter, just sign it." Chloe was visibly taken aback, clearly not expecting me to actually resign. I had turned down a high-paying, stable job at a multinational corporation to start this company with her from scratch. I had even invested half of my personal savings into the initial funding without asking for any shares in return, just to help us land our first projects. I remembered countless late nights, drinking with potential clients until dawn, sometimes feeling like I was being treated like a clown, just to perfect our proposals and secure deals. I survived on 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night for months, pushing myself to the point of near collapse several times. Now that the company was established and profitable, no one in their right mind would just walk away. Chloe finally processed the situation and gave a bitter laugh. "Think this through carefully, Ben. If you leave now, you're leaving without any severance package or compensation. Even as my boyfriend, you're no exception to company policy." "I know," I said evenly, "but I'm taking them with me." I handed her a thick stack of resignation letters from my colleagues. These were the core team members, the ones who had also had their year-end bonuses unfairly docked. They had been frustrated for a while, tired of Chloe's perceived exploitation and the blatant favoritism shown towards Alex. They had been discreetly submitting their resignations to me over the past few months, but I had kept them on hold, trying to mediate. I had tried reasoning with them, asking them not to overthink things, suggesting Chloe wasn't always like this, and maybe she was just giving Alex some extra time to adjust. They hadn't fully bought my explanations, but had stayed largely out of respect for me and our shared history. But this last incident with the car bonus, it was the final straw for all of us. Chloe's face darkened as she looked through the stack of letters. "A bunch of ungrateful backstabbers," she spat. "I took care of them for 4 years, gave them opportunities, and they show not the least bit of thankfulness. Fine, I can't be bothered with any of you." Ruthlessly, she tore up all the resignation letters and tossed the pieces into the trash bin. "Let's just forget about this whole thing," she declared, trying to sound magnanimous. "I'm letting it go, all right?" She acted as if she was being generous, but I knew the truth. It wasn't that she didn't want to make a big deal out of it. It was that she couldn't. Despite her disdain for the team and her bias towards Alex, she was well aware that the vast majority of the company's actual business, client relationships, and operational knowledge rested firmly in the hands of the people who had just tried to resign. If I left and took them with me, the company would likely collapse within months. Probably fearing I would press the issue further, Chloe softened her tone slightly. "Fine, this ends here. If I had known you were going to be this stubborn about it, I wouldn't have put a year-end bonus system in place at all. These cars add up to over $5 million. Remember, Ben, that's your money too." She sighed dramatically. "Ah, another setback on our path to getting married. It pains me." All I could do was chuckle inwardly. She often brought up marriage, usually in a joking manner. Early on, she had set up a joint savings account, telling me that once it reached $1 million, saved from company profits and our contributions, we would get married. Trusting her, I had also started secretly depositing extra funds from my personal savings into that account whenever I could. It was only last month that I stumbled upon the truth. The account, which should have contained around $900,000 based on our plan, was down to just $500,000. Reviewing the bank statements, I discovered she had been spending the money on dates with Alex, buying him expensive gifts like sneakers worth thousands, gifted over 20 times in just a few months, designer underwear priced at $2,000. She bought 18 pairs at once, and taking him to lavish seafood dinners that cost $8,000 per person. It was a level of extravagance I couldn't even comprehend, especially considering how she treated my spending. When I had wanted to buy a new work shirt that cost only $100, she had scolded me for being wasteful and questioned if I was truly serious about saving for our marriage. It was laughable now. Back then, I had always ended up feeling guilty, reflecting on my own perceived flaws, never realizing that the one who wasn't truly committed to the idea of marriage was her. Just as I was about to say something about the account, her phone rang. Chloe ignored me, walking out onto the balcony to take the call. When she returned, she was humming softly, looking quite cheerful. When she saw me still sitting there, it was like she suddenly remembered who she was supposed to be annoyed with. The smile vanished, and she said awkwardly, "A business partner wants to meet urgently. I have to go. You take some time to think things over here at home." Not wanting to expose her lie, I simply watched as she picked a different outfit from her closet, chose a different handbag, and left the apartment. Curiosity piqued, I checked the joint bank account statements again online. Just moments ago, another $100,000 had been withdrawn. The recipient description matched the name of the upscale bar she frequently visited with Alex. After sitting in silence for a few minutes, I picked up my phone and called the non-emergency police line. When I arrived at the bar with the police officers, Chloe and Alex had just finished raising their glasses for a toast. Amidst the loud music and chatter, they were clearly enjoying themselves. "Chloe, I can't believe even after Ben's crazy stunt with the cars, You're still sticking with him," Alex complained, sounding indignant. "Your patience is truly admirable. You built this successful company, you own so much. You're a modern, independent woman. Yet you keep humoring him. Anyone else would have switched boyfriends by now and wouldn't put up with this nonsense." Chloe sighed dramatically and shrugged. "I can't help it, Alex. He did have a hand in starting the company way back then. If I break up with him now, everyone will think I'm ungrateful or ruthless. I guess it was just my bad judgment of character initially. Who knew he'd turn out to be so difficult?" She leaned closer to him. "When the time is right, I'll deal with him properly." Hearing her words, I couldn't help but find the situation darkly funny. When we first started the company, I had asked Chloe why she wanted to take such a risky path. I had a stable job as a supervisor at a multinational firm with a solid salary, enough to support both of us comfortably. Entrepreneurship, on the other hand, was full of uncertainties and guaranteed hardship. Back then, looking me straight in the eye, Chloe had earnestly told me she didn't want me facing challenges alone. She wanted to stand by my side, building something together, taking the journey as equal partners. I had stepped out of my comfort zone, risked my savings, and poured all my energy into helping her achieve her dream, reach where she was now. She had finally reached the destination, but it seemed she no longer wanted to walk alongside me. In fact, she figured she could just kick me to the curb without a second thought now that she didn't need me anymore. But strangely, I didn't feel overwhelming sadness. Her words just confirmed the suspicions I'd had for a while. The police officer accompanying me gave me a sympathetic glance. To avoid causing a scene in the crowded bar, I asked the manager, whom I knew slightly, to discreetly ask Chloe and Alex to step outside. After the officers explained the situation to Chloe, that I had reported unauthorized use of funds from a joint account, she looked at me, her face filled with disbelief. "Ben, what are you doing now? Reporting me to the police over a little bit of money? Is it really worth making such a scene?" Alex clutched his chest dramatically, coughing hard. Chloe immediately rushed to his side, helping him catch his breath, her eyes full of worry and concern. Then, she glared back at me. "Don't you know Alex isn't well? He can't handle stress. If something happens to him because of this, how will you take responsibility?" I recalled a time, back during the coldest part of winter when our company was struggling financially, I had a fever of 104 degrees. She hadn't seemed nearly this concerned then. Instead, she had told me to tough it out, that it would build my resistance. That bout of illness left me with lingering respiratory issues, making breathing difficult every winter since. But she never seemed to notice or care. I couldn't help but scoff. "You're laughing, Ben? You're just heartless." Chloe shot me a cold look. "If you're going to make such a big deal out of a little money, then maybe you're not fit to be my boyfriend after all. Let's break up." "Fine," I replied immediately. "Let's break up." I nodded. Chloe looked at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. She clearly hadn't expected me to agree so readily. Usually, whenever she mentioned breaking up, it was just a tactic, a way to get what she wanted by threatening me. We both knew it was a bluff, and I would always find a way to appease her, often apologizing even when I had done nothing wrong. This was the first time I had actually agreed. Chloe's lips moved as if she wanted to say something more, but Alex quickly chimed in, pretending to mediate. "Ben, I know you're probably just jealous, but Chloe just said that because she's angry. She didn't really mean it, so don't take it seriously." He seemed to be defending me, but I could see the flicker of satisfaction in his eyes. Sure enough, Chloe snorted. "Alex, don't bother explaining for him. If it's over, it's over. I just hope he doesn't regret this later." With that, she grabbed Alex's hand and started to walk away. I raised a hand to stop them. "Since we're breaking up," I said calmly, "shouldn't you pay back the money you took from the joint account?" I nodded towards the police officer. When I had called the police, I provided all the necessary bank statements and evidence showing how Chloe had used funds from our joint account for personal expenses without my permission. The officer nodded and advised Chloe that if my claims were true, she should repay the money promptly to avoid the matter escalating to a formal court case. Chloe hadn't responded yet, but Alex quickly spoke up again. Ben used Chloe's card to buy over a dozen cars for the employees, and she didn't call the cops on him. Go ahead, I said evenly. Press charges if you want to. We've broken up now. If you want to sort things out legally, we can tally up everything between us. I met Chloe's eyes, confident she wouldn't dare press charges regarding the cars. The financial exchanges between us over the years, including my initial investment and subsequent contributions, actually favored me far more than the $400,000 she had spent from the joint account. Alex wanted to say more, but fell silent when he saw Chloe's pale face. Chloe bit her lip, glaring at me furiously, then tapped away on her phone. It's transferred. Happy now? She snapped, casting me a look filled with disdain before snatching Alex's hand again and storming off. I thanked the police officer for his assistance and went back to the station to fill out the necessary paperwork before finally heading home. As I walked through my apartment door, I got a call from Sarah in the finance department. Ben? Chloe just withdrew another $400,000 directly from the company funds. We're coming up on the quarterly reconciliation period. Are you planning on covering it again this time? Chloe often dipped into company funds for personal use. Initially, she used to pay it back promptly. Then, she started forgetting or making excuses, asking finance to wait. By the time the official financial reconciliations were due, she would stall until the last minute, forcing the finance team to come to me. Worried about the discrepancy, I had always covered the shortfall with my own savings to protect the company and, foolishly, her reputation. I had brought it up with her multiple times, and she always brushed it off, saying it was fine because she trusted me implicitly with the company's finances. It was only last month, when I discovered the joint account situation, that I realized a huge chunk of these company loans likely also went towards funding her lifestyle with Alex. She didn't trust me. She thought I was a convenient safety net, a sucker. No more covering for her, I said calmly to Sarah. File the report exactly as it is, and in the future, please don't bring such matters directly to me. We've broken up. Hearing this, Sarah actually seemed relieved. You finally see it, Ben. I was planning to talk to you about this next time it happened. Every time you filled the gap, it took a significant portion of the company's quarterly income. In truth, this company feels more like yours than hers anyway. You've always managed everything so well, even quietly sorting out her potential tax evasion issues. Without you handling things behind the scenes, she wouldn't have made it this far. I hung up the phone and sat there for a moment, thinking. I used to genuinely believe in the idea of being one flesh with Chloe, always assuming we would get married eventually. I thought her problems were my problems, her debts my responsibility. Funny, looking back now, how naive I had been. Even outsiders could see how much I gave, how much I covered for her. But Chloe just saw me as someone disposable, someone to eventually get rid of once I was no longer useful. I realized she wouldn't let the breakup or the money issue go easily. And sure enough, in the days following our confrontation at the bar, Chloe and Alex got bolder. They stopped pretending or hiding their relationship, holding hands openly in the office, fingers intertwined. Chloe, who used to at least make excuses for favoring Alex, now blatantly passed off projects I had initiated or managed as Alex's achievements during meetings. One day, right as I walked into the office, Alex shoved a mop into my hand. Sorry, Ben, he said with a smirk. Chloe mentioned the company is tight on funds after paying out those unexpected year-end bonuses, so there's no budget for hiring cleaners right now. She thought management should set an example by pitching in. Plus, Ben, you've done this before, right? So, you're up first today. He grinned at me, his eyes clearly taunting. I knew he was doing it on purpose. This exact scenario had happened before. Alex had messed up a major contract, and when I called him out on it, Chloe had punished me by making me clean the office toilets for a week, citing my unstable emotions as the reason. "You've gone too far, Alex." A colleague, Mark, finally spoke up for me. "Well then, why don't you clean in Ben's place?" Alex sneered, throwing a sideways glance at Mark. "What are you still sweeping the floor for?" Mark retorted, grabbing the mop from Alex and throwing it right back in his face. "Ben, I really don't get why we're still here working our butts off. So many other companies have tried to recruit us with better offers, and we stayed loyal to this company, loyal to her. And look what we get for it. She's clearly trying to push us out." Hearing this, other colleagues also started voicing their agreement and frustration. But soon, Chloe walked in, a scowl already on her face. Alex, seeing her, immediately changed his tune, acting like a victim spotting a rescuer. He quickly recounted the incident, exaggerating everything to make himself look innocent and us look like insubordinate bullies. "So, you all want to leave?" Chloe scoffed, addressing the group. "Then get out." One colleague couldn't help but stand up for me again, pointing out the unfairness. Chloe shot back without hesitation. "You were all bought off by Ben with those cars. Of course you're speaking up for him." The colleague was left speechless, stunned by the accusation. I found it amusing too, in a bleak way. In the days that followed, whenever anyone tried to defend me or question her decisions, she would use that bribery excuse to shut them down immediately. Given that there was clearly no point in staying any longer, I started packing up my personal belongings from my desk. Seeing me do this, my loyal colleagues started packing up their things too. Chloe froze for a moment, her face turning red with anger. But just as she was about to say something harsh, Alex whispered something in her ear. Her expression softened slightly. "Whoever wants to leave, go ahead," she announced loudly. "I won't stop you. But for those who choose to stay loyal to the company, there will be an immediate $5,000 monthly salary increase, and you'll all receive company shares when we go public." Hearing the offer of shares and a significant raise, a few colleagues paused in their packing, looking uncertainly at her. I knew they were shocked by the offer, but I also knew something Chloe still didn't seem to realize. The company could no longer go public. Recently, the finance team had repeatedly tried to inform her about serious financial irregularities and potential legal issues, but she had ignored their warnings, too focused on Alex and her personal drama. So, the finance team had simply reported everything truthfully to the regulatory bodies before the official deadlines hit. We, the senior team, were planning to confront her about it when the time was right. But unexpectedly, just last night, a major rival company had already initiated legal action against her and the company based on some of those irregularities. Chloe clearly hadn't realized the severity of the situation yet. Thinking everyone was reconsidering staying, she couldn't help but feel a little smug. "I'm satisfied with your decision," Chloe continued, misinterpreting their hesitation. "Tonight, the investors are coming to conduct their final review. As long as everyone performs well during the presentation, I assure you, you won't be disappointed. This year's bonus was a car. If you do well, next year's bonus will be a house." Then, she glanced at me smugly, walked over, and whispered, "See, Ben? Even if you helped them get a car, it doesn't matter in the end. They only care about their own interests. As long as I offer enough, they'll stay right here." I opened my mouth, ready to tell her the truth about the company's situation. But at that exact moment, the receptionist came rushing into the office area, looking flustered. "Miss Chloe, someone's here!" Before she could finish, Alex chimed in loudly, clearly performing for Chloe. "Is it our potential partner? Didn't they say they were coming this evening? They must be here early because they see such great potential in us." Chloe snapped to attention, giving me a final mocking smile. "Just you wait, Ben. You will regret leaving soon enough." Right as those words left her mouth, there was a commotion at the main entrance. Chloe quickly strode over, expecting to greet the investors. But after taking only a couple of steps, she stopped dead in her tracks when she saw who had entered. Two uniformed police officers walked in. After showing their badges, one spoke sternly. "Miss Chloe Martins, you've been reported for suspected embezzlement of company funds, and the company is under investigation for major tax irregularities. Please come with us for questioning." Everyone's attention immediately fixed on Chloe, but hardly anyone noticed the brief flash of panic in Alex's eyes before he quickly composed his expression to look concerned. I caught it, though. Clearly, Chloe hadn't been paying attention to him at that moment, so she didn't notice. Upon hearing the officer's words, she frowned, her first instinct naturally being to look at me and blame me. "Ben, you didn't handle the taxes and company funds properly?" Her immediate reaction of scolding me made me chuckle inwardly. "That's not my job description, Chloe," I replied calmly. "You always insisted on handling those aspects yourself." "Either do it well or don't do it at all," she retorted arrogantly, a phrase she often used in the past when delegating tasks she didn't want to do herself. I found it amusing now. I didn't want her to be overly stressed back then, so I took on everything, handling it seriously and meticulously, even though I knew she couldn't meet her own high expectations if she were actually doing the work. Seeing that I didn't offer an explanation or try to fix it for her as I usually would, her frown deepened. After a moment of silence, she lowered her voice, trying a different tactic. "Besides, you're my boyfriend. Well, ex-boyfriend. Even if we're arguing, you can't just ignore such significant company issues out of spite. I never wanted to truly break up or fire you. Can you please stop being angry and help me sort this out?" She spoke earnestly, trying to sound sincere, but I knew it wasn't genuine. Breaking up and firing me were definitely her intentions earlier. She just needed my help to handle the current crisis quickly, just like before. If I helped, she might treat me nicely for a few days, maybe a week, and then inevitably go back to favoring Alex and taking me for granted. Trusting her again would only make me look foolish. Seeing my continued silence, Chloe angrily glanced away from me and looked around at the other employees, finally fixing her gaze on Sarah, the head of finance. "You handle this. It is your job, after all." Sarah calmly walked up to Chloe and handed her a resignation letter. "I apologize, Miss Martins," she said politely but firmly, "but I'm actually here to submit my resignation today. I may be young, but the way you operate this company makes me feel like I could inadvertently end up in legal trouble at any time. It's better for me to find a more competent and ethical employer." Following Sarah's lead, the other remaining core team members quickly stepped forward and handed in their resignation letters as well. Chloe's face turned a dark shade of green. "You ungrateful bunch," she hissed. "I've provided employment for you for years, yet you show not a drop of gratitude. Can't even rely on any of you during critical times." Alex moved closer, putting a comforting arm around her shoulder. "Chloe, don't worry. Even if they all leave, I'll stay by your side." The remaining colleagues exchanged exasperated looks, speechless at his audacity. Yet his words genuinely seemed to ease Chloe's expression. She let out a cold laugh, looking at us with utter disdain. Ungrateful lot. Worse than a newbie who just started. Nobody bothered responding. We all knew it was pointless. In time, she would inevitably see Alex's true colors. Seeing everyone still packing their belongings, Chloe snatched a laptop from a nearby desk, saying, "It's just a simple accounting task." She logged into the company's financial system, intending to fix the discrepancy related to the $400,000 she had withdrawn earlier. But when she clicked into the main accounts page and saw the current balance and outstanding liabilities, her eyes widened in shock. $1 million in debt? How could it be that much? She screamed angrily, demanding Sarah explain the discrepancy. Sarah, the finance person, was initially caught off guard by the accusation, but then chuckled dryly. Staying calm, she replied, "It's all detailed in the spending reports, Miss Martins. You can check the transaction logs yourself." "I couldn't possibly have borrowed that much money," Chloe insisted. "Did you misuse your position and embezzle funds or something?" She didn't even let Sarah explain further, angrily turning to the police officers still present. "I want to press charges. There has definitely been embezzlement here." The officers exchanged a look and quickly stepped in to help Chloe investigate the transaction records. Meanwhile, Alex tried to calm her down again, saying, "Just let it go, Chloe. The company can earn that money back soon enough." Surprisingly, Chloe didn't listen to him this time. She retorted sharply, "If it's so easy to earn back, then consider this debt yours. Would you agree to pay it?" Alex stiffened, suddenly at a loss for words. From Alex's reaction now and his panicked expression earlier when the police arrived, I could already piece together how this extra debt likely came about. Most probably, just like before, he had withdrawn company funds using Chloe's implicit approval or forged authorization. Sarah had mentioned it to me previously. Chloe was always too impatient to review expense requests properly. She'd tell finance, "He gets my approval for his expenses, just transfer the money directly. Don't bother me with the details every time." Over time, as Alex made more withdrawals, the finance team didn't dare question him too much, fearing Chloe's wrath. Now it seemed Alex had gotten greedier, and with me no longer covering the shortfalls, everything he had done was finally exposed. The police investigation quickly confirmed that over $500,000 of the unaccounted debt was directly linked to transactions initiated or authorized by Alex. Chloe was in disbelief when she heard the findings. Alex immediately dropped to his knees, pleading dramatically, "It's not true, Chloe. They're framing me. I couldn't possibly do something like that. If you don't believe me, check my personal bank account. I still owe $10,000 on my credit card. I'm wearing clothes I've had for years. I haven't even gone through with that necessary surgery yet because it's too expensive. If I really took all that money, would I let myself live like this? Even if I am greedy, I wouldn't risk my own life and health. Would I?" Alex frantically tried to explain himself, but I noticed his eyes darting around nervously. He was clearly trying to manipulate Chloe again. Yet, Chloe believed him. Her furious gaze softened, looking at Alex with sympathy. I knew she was wavering. This always happened. Alex played the victim, and Chloe, even if she had doubts, ultimately chose to believe him. The police informed Chloe they could investigate the matter further if she wished to press charges against Alex. Chloe was silent for a couple of seconds, then said to the still kneeling Alex, "Forget it, it's just $1 million. Once tonight's investment deal is signed, the profits will easily surpass that amount." She gave us, the departing team, a smug look. She then informed the police she would transfer personal funds to cover the company's shortfall and pay the outstanding taxes properly. But I knew she didn't have that much readily available savings after years of funding Alex's lifestyle and the recent car purchases. Her personal cash flow couldn't possibly cover the full amount plus penalties. Sure enough, Chloe had to hastily sell 2 of her investment properties that same night at a loss to barely make up the required amount. The investment deal still went on as planned later that evening. I saw a photo Chloe posted online afterwards, a selfie with a woman wearing thick-rimmed glasses, both smiling brightly. The caption read, "Looking forward to the future we create together." Oddly, the woman in the photo looked familiar, but I couldn't quite place her. The whole deal left me with a strange, unsettled feeling. I didn't dwell on it much, though. My colleagues and I pooled our savings and started our own new company. Thanks to our established teamwork and industry contacts, the new venture quickly gained traction and started taking off. I had so much on my plate managing the new business that I hardly thought about Chloe or Alex. However, I did hear that Chloe secretly tried to poach some of our former colleagues, offering them tempting salary packages and positions. They all turned her down flat and immediately told us about the offers. We just laughed it off at the time. Yet, something still felt off to me. Chloe's actions didn't quite fit her usual character, especially given her company's precarious financial situation. She had been bragging nonstop on social media about landing new, high-profile projects, claiming Alex had brought in a top-tier professional team. With all that supposed activity, she should have been drowning in work. Far too busy to waste time trying to poach mid-level employees from us, but soon, I found out the reason for her strange behavior. Our new company landed a significant project, but something felt wrong about it from the start. The project requirements were incredibly strict and technically demanding, yet the offered budget was ridiculously low. I contacted the client directly, and after a couple of evasive answers, they admitted that someone else had essentially handed them the project specifications and budget, asking them to subcontract it specifically to our new company. Connecting the dots from Chloe's recent actions, I showed a photo of Chloe and Alex to my contact person at the client company. He nodded immediately. Yes, it was them. They promised me $10,000 if the job got done by your team. The whole situation seemed absurd, and I initially decided to ignore the project offer. That night, however, Chloe barged into my new office unannounced. "Ben, you probably know about the project by now," she said, sitting down across from me without invitation. "Name your price. Think of me as your client." Her expression conveyed a sense of noblesse oblige, as if she were doing me a huge favor out of pity for her ex-boyfriend by handing our company this project. I didn't hesitate to call her out. "This project was originally meant for the team I'm leading, wasn't it? The client specifically requested us." Chloe turned pale for a moment. Only recently did I recall overhearing that woman with the thick-rimmed glasses, the one from Chloe's selfie, insisting on having our specific team handle a major upcoming project. I had overheard it by chance when I happened to be outside Chloe's office one day. Later, curiosity got the better of me, and I had asked Chloe about it. She had been impatient and dismissive, saying I was getting too full of myself and insisting that no single project depended solely on our team. I had forgotten about the incident amidst all the subsequent drama. But recently, seeing Chloe's social media posts bragging about new projects while noticing she hadn't publicly announced the departure of her core team got me thinking. I made a bold guess about the situation, and it looked like I was right. Chloe was clearly caught off guard by my deduction. She remained silent for a few seconds before huffing indignantly. "Ha! I only offered it to you out of pity. Don't think you and your team are irreplaceable. Alex's new team is almost as good as yours, maybe even better." "Then give the project to them and stop using these cheap tactics," I responded calmly. As soon as I finished speaking, Chloe's face turned various shades of red and pale. Muttering something under her breath, she finally turned and stormed out of my office. I knew she wouldn't give up so easily. And sure enough, she tried to secretly approach other members of my team individually, offering even better, almost unbelievable terms. The offers were so tempting that I almost considered accepting them myself, just to see what would happen. But everyone on my team knew Chloe's ways by now. They knew those promises would likely mean nothing once the project was completed. So everyone declined her offers outright. Chloe, worried about being exposed to the original client and unable to find any other team in the industry capable of handling the complex project on short notice, had no choice but to officially assign it to Alex's supposed professional team. She might not have been able to see the difference in quality, blinded by her bias, but anyone with industry experience could tell from the outset that Alex's team was vastly underqualified. Chloe and her project were headed for disaster. I didn't expect her to mess up quite so spectacularly, though. While my team and I were out celebrating a successful collaboration with a new partner, someone exclaimed that Chloe's company had been taken to court again. We quickly checked the online news. Apparently, after Chloe submitted the initial project deliverables produced by Alex and his team, who had supposedly slogged away for a month, The client was extremely displeased with the quality. They demanded to meet the technical team behind the work, but Chloe stalled, making excuses. When it became clear the client was losing patience, she finally admitted that Alex's team had completed the work. She tried every excuse imaginable, even resorting to emotional pleas, but the client, the same woman in the black-rimmed glasses from the selfie, remained unmoved. She had her legal team sue Chloe's company for fraud and breach of contract. When I heard about this, I initially thought it might be an overreaction. But after managing to see a leaked copy of the project deliverables submitted by Alex's team, I realized the client was actually being quite gracious. It seemed Chloe hadn't hired a skilled team at all. Avoiding anything remotely resembling decent work in their output was quite an achievement in itself. We just took it as another cautionary tale in the industry and moved on to planning our next steps. Even though our new company had stable clients, we lacked broad market exposure, making significant further growth challenging. Thankfully, drawing from our previous startup experience, we knew not to rush things and focused on sustainable growth. After some casual discussion about future strategies, we wrapped up our team meeting. But when I got home that evening, I found Chloe sitting on the steps outside my apartment building. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. When she saw me, she rushed over, but I instinctively sidestepped her, leaving her looking confused and hurt. "What's up?" I asked calmly. Chloe took a moment to regain her composure, sniffling. "Ben, I know how important you are now. Please help me out this one time. Alex's people messed everything up completely. I've already told the client. If you and your team step in and fix the project, they will drop the lawsuit against me." Her eyes were filled with regret and desperation. In the past, seeing her like this might have made me feel bad, and I probably would have helped her, albeit begrudgingly. But now I knew better. This wasn't genuine remorse. It was just desperation born from facing consequences. Once the immediate crisis was resolved, she would inevitably revert to her old ways. I wouldn't let her toy with me or the colleagues who trusted me again. "What's in it for us?" I asked coolly. "If we agree to help you, what can you offer in return?" Seeing a glimmer of hope, Chloe quickly promised significantly better payment terms and future benefits for our company. "That's it?" I pressed. "I'll fire Alex. As soon as you agree, I'll fire him," she added hastily. "Anything else?" That seemed to stump her. Finally, she said I could name my terms. "All right then," I started. She nodded eagerly, ready to agree to almost anything. "First, you personally handle all the small, menial tasks related to this project yourself. That includes cleaning the office floors where the team will work without any help. Second, absolutely no errors are allowed from your end in coordinating information or resources. Any mistake, no matter how small, will void all rewards and agreements." Chloe's face darkened. "Ben, are you joking? You're just playing games." "Games?" I smiled thinly. "Isn't this exactly how we were treated under your management? We accepted it then. Why shouldn't you be able to accept it now?" Chloe stood stunned, finally realizing I wouldn't agree to help her on her terms. She clenched her teeth, then turned abruptly to leave. She took a few steps, then paused mid-stride, her eyes lighting up briefly with a new idea. She looked back at me smugly. "I told you, Ben. You're not the only option. Even without your help, it's not the end of the world for me." I wasn't sure what gave her such sudden confidence, but she left looking pleased with herself. At work the next day, a colleague mentioned that a major foreign company was actively seeking a long-term strategic partner in our country. Our local reputation wasn't stellar yet, but establishing an international partnership was a viable path for growth. We quickly put together a proposal and plan. The foreign company's representative had an extremely tight schedule, and would only be in the country for 1 day. Upon checking his public itinerary, we found it included attending a high-profile industry networking event that evening. I managed to acquire 2 tickets to the event. It was incredibly difficult. We only got them because a couple who were supposed to attend had to cancel last minute due to illness, and brought our project proposal and key team members there, hoping for a chance encounter. To my surprise, I ran into Chloe and Alex at the entrance of the event venue. "What are you doing here?" Chloe asked, freezing for a second when she saw me. I hadn't expected to see them there either, so I was also a bit surprised. I knew how hard it was to get tickets for this exclusive event. Given Chloe's current precarious situation, with her company facing lawsuits and financial ruin, everyone in the industry was trying to distance themselves from her. No one would risk their reputation to help her get into an event like this. Thinking that, I glanced over at Alex and noticed his eyes shift nervously again. Before I could ponder it further, Chloe laughed out loud. "Are you here trying to meet with foreign investors too, Ben?" I raised an eyebrow. "You two are?" Chloe didn't answer directly, but her laughter grew louder, tinged with condescension. "Ben, you must be dreaming. You think landing a couple of small projects means you're ready to handle major foreign collaborations? Your new company hasn't even been around for long, yet you already have such big ambitions. Be careful you don't bite off more than you can chew." Something felt distinctly off, seeing her smug, overly confident look, but I didn't interrupt, letting her continue her performance. "Let me tell you the truth, Ben," she declared proudly. "The foreign investors are actually here specifically for us. Alex met with them yesterday, and we've already secured the partnership contract." As she spoke, Chloe waved a document she was holding for emphasis. "Don't embarrass yourself further by trying. You should probably start planning your next steps after your company inevitably fails." Then it hit me. The call Chloe took the previous night, the one that made her suddenly so cheerful and confident, it was probably related to this supposed deal. The more I thought about it, the weirder the whole situation seemed. I couldn't help but glance at Alex again. Our eyes met briefly before he quickly looked away, clearly uncomfortable. Still, feeling a residual sense of concern, I kindly advised Chloe, "You should probably check that contract very carefully. I don't think Alex could secure a deal of this magnitude with just a few empty words." Chloe sneered, sizing me up dismissively. "I know what you think, Ben. You think Alex isn't as good as you. But I told you he's incredibly talented. Give him the space and opportunity and he can surpass everyone." Alex lowered his head modestly. "Chloe, stop talking to him. Let's go inside. The investors are waiting for you." "You're right," Chloe grinned, turning back to me one last time. "Stay out here and wait for my good news." I followed Chloe towards the entrance but turned to look at Alex again. I only saw his back disappearing quickly into the crowd outside the venue. I wanted to warn Chloe again, tell her something felt wrong. But before I could get close, she pulled away sharply. "Don't think getting close to me now will make me help you later. You seem to forget how you treated me yesterday. It's too late for regrets now." With a cold laugh, she shook me off as if I were something disgusting, took out her phone to make a call, and walked straight into the main banquet hall. Watching her retreating back, I had a strong premonition that something wasn't right. Just as I was about to follow her in anyway, a business associate pulled me aside. "Ben, isn't that Mr. Dubois, the representative we're looking for?" I followed where he was pointing and saw a bearded foreign man happily clinking glasses with a group of local executives. I recognized him instantly from the photo I had seen before arriving. He was indeed the person we needed to meet. I immediately stopped paying attention to Chloe and quickly approached the man with my associate. I thought convincing him to consider our proposal on such short notice would be tough, but surprisingly, Mr. Dubois seemed genuinely pleased with our project portfolio and team background. Speaking in slightly broken Chinese, he said, Actually, I was planning to contact your company tomorrow morning. I came here specifically hoping to collaborate with your team. That's why I deliberately spread the rumor that I was leaving the country tonight, to avoid unwanted solicitations. It turned out that one of our former clients, who knew Mr. Dubois, wanted to expand their operations into his market. Worried about being deceived by unreliable local partners, they had strongly recommended our new team. My somewhat unconventional year-end bonus of gifting cars to employees had also caught his attention, making him curious to meet me. I was completely blown away by this unexpected turn of events. After chatting for a bit more about potential collaboration details, I couldn't resist asking him about Chloe. Mr. Dubois looked puzzled. Sorry, I don't know a Miss Martins personally, but I have heard some rumors that her company is in significant trouble. I quickly learned what he meant. Just as the networking event was winding down, Chloe came rushing out of the banquet hall, her eyes red and frantic, stumbling into several people on her way out. Right then, I received a call from a former colleague still peripherally connected to Chloe's old company. They told me Chloe was completely finished. Alex and his supposed professional team weren't a real project group at all, but a sophisticated scam squad. In just over a month, they had systematically emptied the company's remaining accounts, forged documents to take out additional loans in the company's name, and disappeared, leaving Chloe with massive debts and multiple lawsuits. Their entire plan, the fake story about meeting foreign investors and signing a contract, was just a sham, designed solely to keep Chloe distracted while they finalized their escape. Originally, Alex was supposed to have a fake investor stall her inside the banquet hall for at least an hour. But Chloe, driven by vanity, wanted Alex to witness her supposed triumph, wanted him to see me squirm with jealousy, and wanted to prove to everyone that Alex was on par with any top professional. So she had called Alex to join her inside, only to get no answer. She tried calling his team members, but couldn't reach anyone either. That's when she finally realized something was terribly wrong and called the police again. She wasn't prepared for the devastating truth they uncovered. I heard later that, thankfully, Chloe reported the scam soon enough for the police to track down and apprehend Alex and his team just as they were about to leave the country. However, the money they had stolen was already gone, transferred through multiple untraceable accounts. Chloe lost everything: her company, her savings, her reputation. The series of betrayals and the crushing weight of the debt finally pushed her over the edge. In despair, she bought a knife. When she somehow encountered Alex again during his processing at the police station, she attacked him without hesitation. Alex managed to dodge the worst of the attack, avoiding critical injury, but still lost a significant amount of blood and ended up in a coma. After injuring him, it was like something inside Chloe snapped completely. She lost touch with reality and ended up being committed to a mental hospital. The rest of Alex's scam team were found to be repeat offenders with long criminal records, and they received lengthy prison sentences accordingly. By the time I found out the full extent of Chloe's downfall, my team and I had already signed the partnership deal with Mr. Dubois. Our new journey, built on hard work, mutual respect, and integrity, had just begun.